Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. JTA President opposes school day extension proposal, highlights teacher and resource issues. Opposition spokesman on education slams government for neglecting teachers and vows PNP will revitalize the education sector. And later in sports, Romelda Aiken-George retires from Suncorp Netball League. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry-Ann Simpson. Here are the details. The Jamaica Teachers Association has added its voice to the ongoing controversy between the government and opposition over the expansion of the school day by 2 hours. President of the JTA, Dr. Mark Barnett, weighed in during an interview on Smile Jamaica's TVJ program Thursday. Opposition spokesman on education Damian Crawford had put forward a proposal to extend the school day by 2 hours to facilitate academic support. But the Jamaica Teachers Association is rejecting that proposal. Dr. Mark Smith is president of the JTA.
Fundamentally, I think it does not tackle the core issues that we're facing within the sector. And so it's one of those things that's tackling a peripheral issue. The core issues that we face in education are fundamentally literacy and numeracy underachievement, particularly at the primary level. And what that means is that eventually gets its way into the secondary level, where then it impacts our outcomes at the CSEC examinations. So we need to understand that clearly.
The other core issues, he says, include teacher migration, lack of resources, and the conditions under which many teachers serve. Dr. Smith said while education gets the lion's share of the budget annually, most of the funds is used to run bureaucracy and not the classroom.
Fundamentally, to run an education system, there are a lot of bureaucratic processes, and we understand this. But the truth is we have to get more money impacting what happens in the classrooms when we start to break down the per capita spend on each child, how the amount of teaching resources, the quality of the infrastructure in the schools, addressing critical safety and security issues within school. These are the things that will ultimately have a greater impact.
The JTA president believes that if the literacy problem is solved, then this will ultimately impact the potential of the labor force. Additionally, Dr. Smith noted that schools are already extending the school day with extracurricular activities.
With climate change, the temperatures are going up globally. To stay additional 2 hours for many children, they become, remember, these are children, they are not little adults. And that level of focus that they need to have, they after a while start to suffer from fatigue. We have to think about the teachers. They have families too.
It is why he believes the decision to extend the school day should be left up to administrators and not the government.
I welcome the idea that there is a paid component, but I am not opening the door. The union is not opening the door because let me tell you something. Over time, you see, anything that people you do, you volunteer to do after a while, then you hear it is mandated and you must do it. So we're not opening up the door that this, if it is an idea that we want to look at, it should be left to the individual administrations working with their teachers and the parents to craft a solution at the local level. Too often we want to, what I consider, centralize some of these things.
And just a correction, President of the JTA is Dr. Mark Smith and not Dr. Mark Barnett as previously announced. In the meantime, despite the backlash arising from his proposal, Shadow spokesman on education Damian Crawford is adamant that the PNP will improve the lives of teachers. O'Shane Masters reports.
Shadow spokesman on education, Senator Damian Crawford, stood firm Wednesday night at the PNP St. Catherine Parish meeting, vowing that under a PNP government, the nation's educators will finally get the support they deserve. This promise comes just days after a backlash from educators over his proposed plan to extend the school day by 2 hours. But Crawford remained unbothered, asserting that the days of teachers being underappreciated and neglected will soon be a thing of the past.
You see, when we give the teachers an increased NHT minimum, maximum, and move it from 9 to 15 million, don't labor right that again. When we give the teachers the forgiveness of student loan for every single year that they remain in the government school, don't labor right dead again.
The opposition spokesman also shared his own track record during his time as MP for East Rural St. Andrew. From 2012 to 2016, he was able to improve the pass rates in English and mathematics through strategic use of the Constituency Development Fund.
In 4 years, we moved GSAT performance in maths from 49% to 57%. We moved performance in English from 51% to 60%. If I could do that with just the CDF, what would I do with the education budget?
He did not hold back in his criticism of the Holness administration.
Their intention is to keep this thing at the point where the poor don't have a chance. And then they say rich pick them bright. But even though me dey feel away, even though me lay down in my bed and me I say me can't believe my teacher them a treat me so, and them not read not even the article. I look into the reality, say in 2015, the mastery of literacy under the PNP was 84%. And in 2024, the mastery was 65%.
Based on these critical failures, Mr. Crawford encouraged teachers to look to the PNP as the only party that can effectively address their needs and elevate the educational sector to its proper stature. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
To more news in politics, Chairman of the Jamaica Labour Party, Robert Montague, says neither party stands to benefit from what is being referred to as the flag and Billboard War. We caught up with him during the distribution of JLP booklets in Western St. Mary yesterday.
This is the scene in Western St. Mary, the town centre in Gale to be exact. Pieces of orange and green cloth tied on electrical wires on this metal arch. Arguably, it's a sign of the tough contest between the sitting MP Robert Montague and the PNP's Omar Woodbine. A tough contest because in the last local government election, the PNP won 3 of the 5 divisions. Still, Mr. Montague remains optimistic about his chances and the JLPs at the national polls.
We're out here giving out our achievement documents. We are in Arokobesa. We have a team in White River. We have another team in Gale, pushing the achievements and reminding the people of Jamaica of the achievements of the Jamaica Labour Party government. And we know once they are reminded of their achievements, they will continue to choose Jamaica and to choose the Jamaica Labour Party.
And while there hasn't been any major incidents regarding the removal of political flags in the constituency, concerns remain that given the current spate of incidents, tensions could heighten.
What we have been doing in Western St. Mary, when my people do go out, when persons at home make their flags and put it up, we have always made an appeal that if you see the opponent's flag or poster hanging down or leaning, straighten it up. Because, we want to get your message out, but you don't want it to be done in a haphazard or untidy looking way. Because we are very proud people in Western St. Mary. We are not into removing the paraphernalia of our opponents. It adds no value. And we make an appeal right across Jamaica, not only in Western St. Mary, that if you see we are neighbors, so if you see we're in one community, so if you see the thing tearing down, don't, add to it. Try to make it better, because at the end of the day, we all choose Jamaica.
As for the flag display in Gale,
that's another issue, but again, we are not in the business. I would prefer to lose the flag war rather than to get into any confrontation or anything. And that my people know my position. At the end of the day, we are going to win the election, so allow the other person space to do what they want to do.
Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
Director of Public Prosecutions DPP Paula Llewellyn has taken the United States to task over its failure to remove Jamaica from Tier 2 on the human trafficking list. She was speaking at the Caribbean Trafficking in Persons Forum yesterday. Jamaica has been at Tier 2 for several years following assessments conducted by the U.S. Department of State's Trafficking in Persons TIP. According to the department's 2024 TIP report, the government of Jamaica does not fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, but is making significant efforts to do so. However, speaking at a Caribbean Trafficking in Persons Forum in Montego Bay, St. James Wednesday, Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn argued that Jamaica's progress in the fight against human trafficking outweighs the efforts of several other countries.
You talk to prosecutors, including American prosecutors. If you look at the statistics worldwide, we all have the same challenges. And sometimes I think it's a little disingenuous on the authorities in the States who, notwithstanding the great efforts and the advances that we have made in Jamaica, insist that we remain at tier 2 when we see other persons being put on tier 1 who, if you really check it out, they're not there yet, like how we are in Jamaica.
It is why she urged political and economic counselor at the U.S. Embassy, George Matthews, who was at the forum, to address the matter.
That is something that I'm going to ask you to turn your attention to. And please feel free to visit my office and to communicate with my team.
The St. Mary police say 7 persons were arrested for possession of identity information, a major offense commonly linked to lottery scamming. According to the police, the arrests were made during a series of coordinated intelligence-led operations aimed at disrupting criminal networks involved in cyber-enabled fraud and other related offenses. They say the operations form part of a broader strategy to create a safer parish. Now, the police also believe the arrests have put a significant dent in the funding of criminal networks, disrupting their ability to finance other illegal activities, recruit vulnerable individuals, and destabilize communities. It is now time for a break. Stay with us, more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The driver of a water truck has been admitted in serious condition following a crash in the vicinity of the Mami Bay roundabout in St. Anne this morning. According to reports, he lost control of the vehicle which overturned. After he was rushed to hospital, looting began. TVJ News understands there was a second person in the truck. Now it's unclear whether he was also injured. The Winston Jones Highway in Manchester was the scene of a crash this morning. As you'll hear in this report from our correspondent, 2 persons were injured.
The driver of a truck has been taken to hospital after the unit got out of control and ran off the road into a ravine along the Winston Jones Highway. A colleague driver spoke with us and said that the driver had left an asphalt company in Hatfield, Dunsinane to be more specific, about 9 o'clock.
They was coming down on the highway and see the truck coming down, and the brother man said, no, take on yourself. I look at beer smoke and the car under the truck. And eventually we went up past it and never know they don't come mash up.
Minutes to 10, police and the fire brigade were called about a crash along the Winston Jones Highway. The unit is destroyed. It's not clear how badly injured the driver is.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Caribbean Cement Company saw revenue climb to $16.3 billion for the first half of 2025, up 7% compared to last year. Now, second quarter sales also improved, rising 6% to $8.1 billion. But despite the stronger top-line profitability took a hit. Operating earnings for the half year dropped 42% to $3.1 billion, while second quarter earnings plunged 77% to $700 million, largely due to higher costs from a planned maintenance shutdown. The company says the move will boost long-term efficiency and production capacity, especially as it eyes export markets. The Grace Kennedy Group now owns 98% of Key Insurance Company after spending roughly $387 million to acquire another 25.7% of the company's shares. That purchase, amounting to 143.4 million ordinary shares, means Grace Kennedy now has enough control to delist Key Insurance from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
Time now for the top stories from around the world.
In the region, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissesa says the country has become a nation of grass cutters. Speaking at pre-budget consultations, she said she cannot, in good conscience, continue state-funded programs without restructuring them. Mrs. Persad-Bissesa declared that she will not allow gang infiltration of the Unemployment Relief Program, the Community-Based Environmental Protection and Enhancement Program, and the National Reforestation Program. She said several meetings have already been held to examine the programs, noting that citizens must be equipped with opportunities that bring more sustainable value to their lives.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.